Jojima, Summer of Love, episode 33. I'll be in the car all day Sunday driving. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump in with this tonight. This shame core that we are working on right now is the collective shame core. It is ancestral, it is cultural, it is religious, it is all the conditioning of our minds that have been handed down from generation to generation. It's heavy work, it's big work, and those of us who are stepping up to go to the depths of our own healing space, wherever that takes us, we are, just know that we are being honored by our ancestors right now. I had a reading with my Rita Ma, bone woman, the woman who initiated me into the Dagra. I met with her on Friday because I was needing a bit of a tune-up. This 90-day commitment, I hit the third of the way through, and I'm not somebody who's good for long-term discipline on things. Get in, get her done, and get on to something else. So this, I knew it would be hard. There was no question. I was stepping into something that would be a challenge, or why do it, right? At this point, I'm inviting the growth, as challenging as it is, and it is not disappointing. Just is, right? It's stirring up all kinds of stuff. Any place where there's still fear and shame. She's too much, she's too big, what was she thinking? Why is she doing this? Oh, man. That little girl, the one who says, is it safe to come out now? Is it safe to be fully seen in this world? She's not too big, too much. Her capacity to wax poetically at great length. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a neurospicy thing? Is it just who I always was? I was a bit of a tattletale on my family. I got us into all kinds of good trouble, and I helped myself along the way. So I can't shame her. She just is. So this 90 days is to let her heal out loud. That was one of the themes of this work early on, how important it was going to become for us to heal out loud. We do it in darkened spaces with therapists and malokas and yurts and sacred spaces where we're held in community, but to heal out loud, to show up fully naked to the truth of who we are. That's big courage, and crossing Dr. Hawkins' 200 to 250 mark on that map of consciousness. That's the bridge from courage to trust, to keep showing up courageously in our lives, and not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of mankind. Like, this is a huge pay it forward moment for our species. It's that last 10% is the hard work, right? Releasing the collective shame core, whatever's left in your own shame core, all of that is the last 10%. But we don't do it alone. We do it together in community, and healing out loud is a feature of that healing in community. And the sister and I were saying how precious it is to be in a sacred circle with other humans who can heal out loud. Because every voice that finds itself, finds its way out of the shame core is an invitation for everyone else to speak their truth. This courage that I'm talking about is a generational courage to show up. And so when I went and had this divination with Bone Woman, my Dagara initiator, I guess we would call her, I would think of her as an inviteress, somebody who invited me to meet myself and my magic in a new and meaningful way back in 2015. So we're 8 years on this path together, and I hadn't sat with her for a while. And she goes behind her cloth and invites the spirits of my ancestors and hers, and the land that we're on, and the Esalen and the Ohlone and Costanoan and Rumsen tribes, the keepers of this beautiful land that we live on, and invites all the animals to come and be a part of the divination, to show up and support. And I really had the sense that I was being held by all that have come before, who are, I hallucinate, are sitting up there watching this moment and feeling into the potentiality of the shift that's happening. And she shared the joy that she saw coming out of the work that I'm doing, and that the young people were going to be the ones where I would be focusing my energies going forward. And I wondered if she recognized how many young people have circled around for the last couple of, 5 or 6 years. Lots and lots and lots of young people have come into beautiful space with me, and I do feel a particular spark with the young people, and I guess I just got that confirmed, that that's the direction that Jojima, joy of joining in, healing out loud, like they have less baggage. I'm thinking of who I was when I was 20 versus 65 coming up, and you learn a lot of really bad habits in all those years, and it's taken me a long time, decades, to unlearn some of those things I learned in my 30s and 40s about showing up with just pushing through no matter what. And you just reach a point in the body where you can't keep doing that. There is an exhaustion of the nervous system, an exhaustion of our imagination, an exhaustion of our willingness to be here. That peace that my son planted in my belly a year and a half ago. I'm not suicidal, but I'm not sure I want to be here. And then updated just recently too. It's about pruning. It's about curating my experience a little more deliberately, a little more intentionally, a little more consciously. Day by day, recognizing where my energies are met with appreciation, and there's some psychic reward instead of exhaustion coming forward. Like he's that next generation of leaders who are learning now in their 20s and 30s. What I see witnessed in so many young people around me right now, this not buying into the old story of giving up your life to that story. And it's a fear-based story. And so I had a big cleansing of the fear I've been feeling when I knew that all the ancestors, even the planet, was behind this Joji movement. This human experience is ultimately just one big Joji experiment, joy of joining in. And this question has been weaving in and out of my downloads over the last 3 or 4 years. Like, what is a Joji movement? Is it we all sign up and we do something, or are we signing up to walk each other home while we each do the thing that is the purest expression of who we are? That feels like, yeah, I'm here to support you doing you. And that's the me part, because I know you're going to support me doing me. And in that, we engage in the we. This moving from me to we is and has to remain a constant recalibration, rebalancing between individual expression and communal well-being. And so we've got to find a joyful way to heal out loud together. So when I first launched the Be Love app, encouraging people to breathe together with a 528 hertz tone, it felt like it was going to be such an easy thing to get people to breathe together. I mean, we can't get people to show up for gatherings sometimes, but just breathe together. Like, I know our bandwidth is stretched, but this is like one of those moments where you breathing consciously, slowing down 1 or more times a day, knowing that other people are doing the same. You get this Joji moment, Joji experience, Joji juice of vital force energy when you see you're not the only one doing this work. You're not crazy, you're not alone, and you're not the only one who wants this world to be what it can be, all that it can be. Like, when you cross that threshold of grace at that 90-10 split, you've gone through your invitation, initiation, inquiry, intention, integration, and now you're at that inspiration, that courage to trust, to go all in on yourself, to transcend the meanness of your story, to show up in devotion. You now decided, I'm going all in on me, and there's no self-sacrifice in that. Me doing me all the way is the gift I get to bring to the we. The individual expression, communal well-being, ancestral well-being, and generations to come well-being. That's what's at play right now. That's the field of potentiality that we're moving into, out of our curse of certainty about things can't get any better. Man, we are just gaslit ourselves to the point of almost giving up on this human story. Yeah. I watched a movie tonight, Come On, Come On, and they were interviewing children about, what do you think about the future? What do you think about life when you see this happening or that happening? And they're incredibly insightful and aware that there's wounding out there. There's darkness and challenge, and people forget how to be kind to one another. Their innocence recognizes the disconnect, the dissonance between who we really are and how these adults are showing up. To work with young people before they become cynical, before life has beat them down so far that it is an act of great courage to show up and continue to trust the human experience. And I've shared these words before, but I invite you to live into them today. I'm here to fall in love with trust. And when I first was like, trust? No. Fall in love with it? No, it's transactional. I have to put aside fear to create some space for trust. Like there's no, this is for somebody who has early wounding and hypervigilance. Like trust comes as a calculation, not as a surrender. And so the idea of actually falling in love with it, that was a stretch of imagination for me. So it worked me, and it worked me. And then I looked back on my timeline and realized that everything in my story, even the really hard things, was yielding some magnificent appreciation at this point in my life. And so I kind of began to fall in love with my story, fall in love with even the really hard things that happened, to fall in love with trusting my human experience. Once I began to see what could happen with a new lens on my history, I began to recognize that same new lens could create a whole new potentiality for me and my life, and to the degree that I can transfer this joyful, hopeful place that I've landed in my life to anybody else, that's worth showing up for. That's what the elder said. That's what the invitation is for this 90 days. For me to do my best to convey the metamorphic arc of my story, that you might begin to recognize the same benchmarks of shift that are happening in your story, including the collective dark night of the soul that we're going through right now. To not allow fear to hijack the gift that this moment really, truly is for each and every single one of us. May it be so.